I really don't want that in the intro, Ash.
Yeah. I have a light and it was resting on a takeaway container that's on my desk. Bollocks. No, happy again.
Are you recording this, Sorax?
Right. No one's going to drop anything now, are they? It's all fine.
I can't guarantee that.
Hello and welcome to the second edition of the Ministry of Retro Gaming podcast. It's the first for me. I'm a new member, and so is one other person here that's joined us, but we'll introduce each other very shortly. For those that are new here, the Ministry of Retro Gaming is a collection of 5 talented retro gaming YouTubers and me. Let's just introduce each member now. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about your channel and also what games you're currently playing at the moment. So Maz Gaming.
Yep, hi guys, it's Mark here from Maz Gaming. So we're as you can imagine, a retro gaming, or certainly was more retro gaming YouTube channel, but we're starting to kind of bleed a few more modern things into it now. A couple of big things that we've done recently. So had an interview with Sega. We've got another interview coming up with those guys very, very shortly as well. So that's kind of one of the ways that we're taking the channel at the moment. And I've got a few really exciting unboxings coming up for some ultra rare Sega stuff, which I'm really, really excited to show everyone. But keep an eye on that for in the near future.
Very nice indeed. And we have Ben from the Grumpy Retro Gamers. Hello, Ben.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ben from Grumpy Retro Gamers. Usually there's my friend Chris with me, who also does a channel with me. But I think he's actually out of the country at the moment. I'm not sure where he is. So it's just me today for this podcast.
Gone missing.
Yeah, no idea. I'll find out at some point. It's fine.
Just a word on Chris as well on his job on the track on the Coin Up Body Rock. Absolutely fantastic. Job that you've done there. And it's a great video from you. I'll leave a link down in the description below for that as well. We're all in that video. Just an excellent job by both of you. Really good.
Thanks, mate. We've done a couple of music videos. Quite often do some reviews, a bit of comedy, audio commentaries for old TV programs relating to retro gaming. So there's a lot more to come, and more of the same stuff, and a few other hidden surprises, I think. So in terms of what I'm playing, I've actually gone back to the Dreamcast recently. I've been playing the first Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast.
Good man.
Yeah, nice, very nice. And Dead or Alive 2, which I'm terrible at, but it's a lot of fun.
You know, sorry, just on that, I actually went to the arcade club in Bury yesterday for the first time. That everyone's been banging on about how good it is, and it is as good as everyone said. But they actually had a Soul Calibur arcade machine, which I'd never played before.
Oh, amazing!
Nice. So good. Turns out that I'm awesome on the Dreamcast. Crap on the arcade machine. Joe, Joe literally beat me 4 times in a row, and then I rage quit and walked off. So.
Did you get that on video?
Unfortunately not. Yeah.
Okay. We also have Ash from 891. Hello, Ash.
Hello. Oh, I've gone dark again. Hi. So I'm me. I generally play crappy, old, obscure computer games that no one's ever heard of, and make really rough jokes about them. That's pretty much what I do in a nutshell. And I've got a hat on and a tie. So that's
you have, and I was going to say I'm glad that 2 people have dressed up for this podcast.
Well, it's actually in tribute to you joining. I thought I'd wear a tie, but I've only got the salmon tie instead of a purple one. But I might get a purple one, and then people won't be able to tell us apart when they watch our videos, so I can steal some of your viewers. It's my plan.
Yeah, you haven't realised I have no viewers, have you?
Sorry? Exactly. But yeah.
Just the one snag.
Exactly.
But yeah, thank you for that tribute. So we also have a second new member to the Ministry of Retro Gaming other than myself. That's Brian from Spacies. Hello, Brian.
G'day, how you doing? So Brian from Spacies, and I've been playing games since Space Invaders. Used to work at Sega, so got out of the industry for many years and decided that I should start up a YouTube channel, and here I am. And currently I'm playing Persona 5. I just bought that the other day, and Forza Horizon 3. And also Metroid Samus Returns on the 3DS. I've been getting stuck and hooked into that too. So I'm dabbling all over the place with games at the moment. It's hard to get focused and stay on one game at the moment. I've always had that problem with games. Yeah.
Cool. And what are you currently playing, Ash? I don't think we established that.
I'm actually currently playing mostly Shenmue, the re-releases.
Yeah.
And yeah, pretty much, playing Shenmue 1, trying to get to the end of it. I've never completed it before. So, yeah, trying to finish with Shenmue 1, and then I'm going to play Shenmue 2. So, that's my plan at the moment.
Yeah, nice. For any newcomers, I'm Sorax. I do the Sorax-based YouTube channel. And I mainly do comedy video game reviews, or at least I think they're funny. Now, I've got a few pickup vids coming soon as well, and also do app reviews. As for what I'm currently playing Shenmue as well.
Yay!
Yay! A lot of people are. I've never played it before up until the PS4 release, so I'm just jumping into it brand new. It's good so far. It's quite an acquired taste. You sort of need to get into it if you're brand new to the series. But I'm enjoying it so far, and also the new Spider-Man game, which graphically is absolutely stunning, and gameplay-wise, it's good so far as well. So that's what I'm currently playing at the moment. Yeah. So the question is, with Sega finally reviving old IPs, what are your thoughts, and what other games do you want to see brought back to life? So first of all, does anyone have any thoughts on the new Streets of Rage 4 announcement?
Now, I was going to say that at first I was a little unsure of the art style because Streets of Rage is very pixelated and has a very classic style of its own. And this new style just seems very water arty, very abstract. But it was from the guys that did the Wonder Boy Monster. Is it Wonder Boy? Wonder Boy and Dragon's Trap, that's the one, and that they actually nailed that. So I think I need to give them a bit more confidence in what they're doing. And there's a lot of people out there saying, "Oh, well, there should be an option to go back to a retro look." And I don't know, I'm kind of not wanting that to happen, but you can kind of see that they're probably going to play that into the game somehow. But I just don't see the need to make it look like pixelated, because the only reason why Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 3 were pixelated was that was all they had to work with. Now in 2018, they should be trying to concentrate on making it look as good as possible. So that's my view on that.
Yeah, well, I do get what you mean. It was a weird one because when it came out, like, Sega didn't acknowledge it for a few days, and I was like, "Is this like a real?" I mean, obviously, they are a legitimate company, so of course, I'm assuming that it wasn't ever going to be. Like a company just kind of trying to put their own fan-made thing out there. I thought it was so weird that Sega didn't acknowledge it for a few days, but obviously now they have. I'm really looking forward to it. But I completely agree. The art style to me isn't really the way that I would have gone. But I'm hopeful, just based on their track record, that they're probably going to nail the gameplay. I would imagine. But yeah, I probably would have gone a little bit different on the art style.
Well,
I think the communication. I was going to say that the communication between Sega and who is this lot called? What's their name again?
Dotemu? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
What is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the communication between them is not probably running as smooth as it needed to be. And that's sort of another topic, is that kind of sad that Sega themselves aren't doing it and not heading it up. But they got their plate full.
Do we know for definite that Sega are publishing that game? Because I've not seen that confirmed. Like, Sega have basically retweeted a couple of Dotemu tweets, but they haven't said being published by Sega. It looks like a project that...
In association with it, just said. It didn't say anything beyond that.
Maybe
so God knows what that means.
That's a shame.
There's part of the thing with the art style, which is quite nerdy, but pixel art's really, really hard. And the style they've gone for is actually much easier to make and animate compared to pixel art, which is significantly tougher. So I think that's part of the reason why I decided to do it instead of pixel art, because it's just less time.
Yeah, the initial backlash that I saw was to do with Axel's beard. Now,
Beard game.
Yeah, presumably it's going to be set at a different time in terms of the story or whatever, and they must be a little bit older, I guess. So yeah, he's probably matured a bit. He looks a bit older than the one on the artwork for the original games to me. So it's to get to that level of nitpicky, but the actual art style itself, I think if they went through the pixelated style, people would have complained about that maybe. And it's a new venture in the franchise, and they do need to do something different.
I'm just trying to picture you without a beard. That wouldn't work.
I think his face just stops under that beard. I don't think there's any face under there. This thing's a hole, and there's this beard over it.
Yeah, there's just nothing there. It's just blank space.
Yeah, it's a void.
So I got Assassin's Creed character.
So yeah, I'm excited for it personally. I don't have any negative outlook on it. The art style is different. It looks like a new venture to me. Look forward to it.
I'm reading that a lot of people are quite happy with the art style, and to me, when I first saw the announcement trailer, I thought, "Ooh, this doesn't quite look like Streets of Rage to me." And also, I wasn't happy about beard. #Beardgate. I want that gone. There's still time. Shave it off before, because for me, that isn't Axel. I agree that time has gone by. Characters can change. But the art style, and he looks fat as well. I don't know if you. I spotted this. I thought I was the only one that spotted this, but something. There's a meme going around with Axl Rose then and now, and someone's put that with Axel from Streets of Rage as then and now. And
have you ever seen them both in the same place? It could be the same person.
Yeah,
and I'm not sure about the game in general, where I thought it would be, if they were to announce it, like a 2.5D type beat 'em up, but it doesn't quite look like that. So I'm not quite sure what to expect, but it's early days yet. So let's see what comes out of it.
I'm just glad that Blaze Fielding doesn't have a beard. That's all I'm saying.
well,
Still time.
They might put that in as deals.
That really would be. That really would be. And I'm sure they'll announce new characters as well. I reckon, the likes of Skate and Max and probably Adam will be in there. Because if
no one's mentioning Roo. Let's bring the kangaroo back.
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Australian, just trying to get a kangaroo into every game.
I know. Oh, yeah, Spyro the Dragon would be better if it's a kangaroo. Oh, there was a kangaroo in Spyro as well, wasn't there?
Mark, you've got two Aussies behind you. You do know that Sonic the Hedgehog was actually born in Christmas Island.
Oh, that's fair enough, yeah.
And Knuckles is in Echidna, so there.
Well, fair enough.
Okay, so in terms of other old IPs, whether it's Sega or anybody else, are there any other IPs that you think should be brought back? Anyone want to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead. So, sorry, Brian.
Sorry.
I pretty much wore this T-shirt in anticipation for the question. But I think for me, in terms of the Sega community, certainly on social media, I think other than Shenmue, the biggest community that I see is very much the Jet Set Radio community, in terms of people just want that game back, and it makes no sense that we've kind of not had one for so long. I mean, Jet Set Radio Future was a great game and did very, very well commercially as well, and then it's just died since then. It's kind of classic Sega from that kind of late 2008, 2009 era to kind of 2015, where they didn't really know what they were doing with those IPs. Like they've completely gone full circle now, in my opinion. I think the Sega Road to 2020 plan, where they're bringing all IPs back, I think they're definitely onto something there. But that one's a bit of a weird anomaly, where it was genuinely popular and sold loads, because there are a few games that were mega popular but didn't really sell, like Skies of Arcadia. Apparently, didn't sell well, but people love it, so I can kind of get if they were nervous about bringing that back. But Jet Set Radio sold a ton. It makes no sense to me that they haven't brought it back. So hopefully, I've got a theory. So do you remember when the Streets of Rage fan game came out a couple of years ago and Sega stamped on it, which is really, really unusual for Sega because they don't normally stamp on stuff like that. And then it turns out that obviously they probably had Streets of Rage 4 in the works or talks about it in the works, which kind of makes sense. Now, a company came out last year that made a prototype for a new Jet Set Radio game, and Sega stamped on it. And I'm really hoping that they stamped on it for exactly the same reason, because there's already something going on behind the scenes where in 6 months' time, in a year's time, you might hear something from Sega where they go, actually, surprise, surprise, we've got something coming your way. So I'm really hopeful on that one. I think it just makes every kind of sense commercially, just for the fans, just in terms of dormant IPs that could and should make them a load of money. Hopefully.
So that prototype you're talking about, though, the thing with that is where it might not be the case, is that was official. That was done for Sega. It wasn't anyone external. It was done, and they cancelled it, but they had also commissioned it. So I'm not sure if that's the case. Right. But maybe that's because I saw it and thought exactly the same thing, and I read up on it, and it was made for Sega in the first place.
Well, my understanding, because I was actually chatting to the guy behind that, because I tried to get an interview with him, so I was chatting to him for quite a while. So Sega didn't ask them to commission that. They basically did it off their own back, and then said, Sega, can we show you this? So Sega,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So Sega was like, well, like, by all means, come along and show us. And the showdown was like, nah, we're all good. So
It was Sega us doing it, is probably what they were thinking.
exactly, yeah. So like either way, there was obviously a reason why Sega chose not to pull the trigger on that. So I mean, it could be one of 100 reasons. But I'm just hopeful that one might be the one that comes out.
But I mean, there's so many IPs that Sega could be bringing back, and I'm going right back. Even things like Hang On, they could probably do a new motorcycle game. There's not really many decent, full experience motorcycle games out there. There's one or two series, but there's room for another one. And Hang On, they used to be the champions of the motorcycle genre, so that's one that they could touch. Space Harrier. No one talks about Space Harrier more, man. Back in the 80s and in the early 90s, that was my jam. I loved that game so much. And Golden Axe. I'm not hearing anything about Golden Axe, and that's definitely a game that so many people miss from back in the day.
Yeah.
Instead of just a Sonic every year. It's good to see that they're acknowledging, and a new Afterburner. That'd be awesome.
I was thinking the other day, Echo the Dolphin. I know it's not to everyone's taste, but if you imagine how immersive it could be on the current gen.
Oh, that'd be
Echo the
amazing.
Dolphin game, graphically beautiful as well. It can make it a more almost sort of open world, sort of Echo the Dolphin rather than a linear one like the original was. I was quite a fan. I just found it really, really difficult. That was the only.
You just got to avoid Japanese fishing nets.
Yeah, exactly.
Main objective. Sorry.
Yeah,
He went there.
More in the phone again, Ash.
Another Sega IP I'd like to see is Rystar. I don't know. Well, I guess
love Rystar.
because it came out late in the in the Mega Drive's lifespan, and the Sega Saturn's already out at the time. It wasn't really pushed. It wasn't really marketed. Rystar at the time, and I'm thinking not a lot of people know about it. But I'm sure they're aware that people know about it. It's been in things like I think it was one of the Sega All-Star racing games. It had a little cameo in it, and the Shenmue, you can get it in one of the toy dispenser things. So I'm sure they're aware that people know about Rystar. So I'd like to see another Rystar. I'm sure it'd be pretty easy to do. Yeah. And as we were talking about in your podcast, Brian, last time, that you don't see a Rystar plushie, and I don't know why. I'm sure I like it as a matter.
It's a syllable character. I just don't understand why they dumped it like a hot potato. It's just like it has so much potential, and they just didn't touch on it. And I think if I don't mention this, everyone's going to go crook in the comment section. Alex Kidd, or Alex the Kid, as so many people want to call it. A new Alex Kidd would be something that would sell, especially here in Australia. There's so many people that, Alex Kidd, I love that game. And any Alex Kidd videos that I do, they get a lot of views. So there's so many people out there that have still have the love for Alex.
a lot of memories tied to Alex Kidd. I think it was a pack-in for the Master System for a while, wasn't it? And
It was forced down their throat. Yeah.
Everyone played it. So a lot of memories behind that franchise for me.
My main memory of Alex Kidd was in the Enchanted Castle and just endlessly doing rock, paper, scissors. Because it was just a game of chance, obviously, and it just was very fun. Also, true story, in my dad's workplace, there is actually a guy called Alex Kidd who insists on being called Alexander Kidd. And I'm like, no, you're Alex Kidd. You're not Alex Kidd.
Have you any idea how many girls he got with that name growing up? Have you any idea?
Yeah.
I knew a girl called Amy Rose, which is Sonic's girlfriend. So she got a hard time growing up in high school, she told me.
Also, there's the Comic Zone games. Well, the one game.
Yeah.
One game. I like to see that come back.
Yeah, Comic Zone game in 2018-19. It has definitely got potential. There's so much potential in all these old games. It's just, and that's another thing. Just because a game didn't sell well back then, I think people are a little more forgiving and more adventurous with their gaming taste than they were back then, with gamers today. So, yeah, just because a game didn't sell well in 99 or 89 or whatever years we're going back to, it doesn't mean they should abandon those games. I'm looking at a long list here of Fantasy Zone. Where's another Fantasy Zone? That's an awesome game. just fill it with so many colors and make it as rainbowy as possible, and it will just sell, because if you can just make it look good on 4K display, that should be a high-end game, I think, too. Make it as visually impressive as possible with all the samba Brazilian music that you can throw at it. I think that game in 2018, it was ahead of its time, and that's the thing. Sega just didn't hold on to these titles and nurture them. They just dropped them. It's so frustrating to be a Sega fanboy.
Speaking of Samba, actually, the time is surely right for another Samba de Amigo with the Switch.
Oh yeah.
Like literally the Joy-Cons are just maracas, surely. Like, that's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure of the practicality of it being it by Treasure, but also Gunstar Heroes was an absolutely fantastic game on the Mega Drive. I absolutely loved it as a kid. Just the amount of the design and the creativity behind all of the bosses was just absolutely brilliant. And I know they made, I think it was called Gunstar Heroes Forever or something like that on the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, on the Game Boy Advance. Yeah, so they have done something else with it, but I'd like to see a proper home console title for Gunstar Heroes.
Well, just anything like Treasure, really.
I did go away and do some homework about Treasure. Sega did not buy them, so that was a misunderstanding on my behalf. I thought that they may have gone out and bought that company, but that turns out to be not the case.
It seemed to me that I looked into it that Treasure were sort of working exclusively for Sega at the time. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they've got some sort of special relationship where that could work in the future, but we'll just have to see.
I'm sure they can make it work, but at the moment, there's been no announcements. The last bit of work that they were doing was Wii games, and that was the last you hear of them. There's not really much since.
Yeah, they've already done it in years.
It'd be nice to see them make a comeback, because there's a lot of good memories with us retro gamers of Treasure games. They're just like right up there with like every game that they put out. It was just so visually impressive. It was just like, the Mega Drive can do that? Wow.
Dynamite Headdy was another good one.
Dynamite Headdy, yeah, and they really did a lot with the bosses. It was the boss fights that were really the most impressive on those games.
Sorax, I thought you said Dynamite Ducks then.
Well, if you want to go, bring back Dynamite Ducks. Why not?
Why not?
I know one, but it was crap.
Also, another thing is, I think they've announced a new House of the Dead. I think it's called Scarlet Dawn in the arcades. But another console version would be good, and also in VR. I don't know why they haven't done it. House of the Dead in VR, I think, would be fantastic.
That'd be awesome.
So,
and no one mentioned Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi, that's another good one.
Yeah.
We could go on with old Sega titles for ages, though. They've got so many.
Yeah, they're really sitting on a gold mine. I don't know why they haven't acted sooner. But the second question is quite an open question, which is, was gaming better before the internet, or was it worse before the internet, or is it simply different now that we have the internet? So how has the internet impacted gaming, in your opinion?
I think it's kind of both, really. It's kind of worse and kind of the same. So people have a tendency, and I do this as well, I think we're all guilty of it, where before, the whole thing with attention span in gaming, and obviously we're all getting older anyway, but like, as you now have the access to the internet, you can look up when you're stuck on games almost immediately, or find out the secrets to games, or when something's like winding up a little bit, you have that sort of temptation to sort of go, oh, let's just have a little look at this bit, just get past this, you know what I mean? So I think that has like an unknown effect on how people sort of experience games now compared to the past, where if you don't have that thing where, you know, you're a kid, you've got 15 quid, you've bought one game, and that's what you're playing, versus now, if you're on the internet, like, you can just be like, I'll just zoom through this and then get another one.
Talking of that, Brian, you must be upset that with the internet that it's pretty much destroyed hotlines and magazines.
You just stole my response. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Go ahead.
That internet killed the only job that I really truly loved in life. all these people though that complain that kids these days they're too quick to cheat in games or they're too quick to look up cheat codes and that, they're the same bastards that were calling me up on the Sega hotline back in the day. So don't give me that crap. The only thing is they're not better at gaming, they're not more hardcore at gaming, they've just got more options available to them, and back then they didn't have those options, so they had to phone through. I don't really buy into that whole thing that gamers today are weaker or stronger or anything like that. I think we're just different. But Ash is right that if you do get stuck in a section in a game, I mean, the old days of just picking up the phone and waiting on hold for someone to finally answer you, and hopefully they had the right answer for your question. It's just now a matter of hitting Google and watching YouTube videos now. I put my hand up and admit that there are times when I'm stuck in the game, I'll watch someone online play through it. Oh crap, so that's what you were meant to do. I think actually it was Sorax had a video on Sonic and the Lost Rings or some damn rubbish like that. It was a real crap game. It was real bad.
Yeah, it was crap.
And there's this one section where Sonic runs towards a dead end and a rock. Yeah. And you've got no idea of knowing how to get past that unless you either A, fluke it, or B, watch Sorax's video and see that you jump.
You're not past Sonic Secret Rings unless you watch Sorax better. Thank you, Brian.
And it was just the most ridiculous gaming design option that I've ever seen put into a game. But yeah, that's exactly the type of thing that would benefit with YouTube compared to ringing up someone. How would you explain that to someone over the phone? It would be pretty difficult.
Well, it'd take a quarter of an hour and cost them about 50 quid to do it, and that's probably the point, right? Like, no, tell me your complicated problem. Carry on. How's your day today? Are you married?
I was working there at the time when that wasn't timed. We weren't getting any money from that. It was just a regular phone call. So we were trying to get them off the line, if more than anything else. Unless they were interesting to talk to.
Yeah, I think the internet has brought some good things and some bad things, but in balance, I think it just simply made the industry different because there are a lot of benefits it brings, but there are also some negatives. I enjoyed a time where, well, now I think we have a bit too much information on games. I know everything about a game, I know when it's coming out, I've seen all of the gameplay. I don't know, I just enjoyed the time, maybe it's just because I'm so nostalgic, I enjoyed a time when I just walked into a game shop and didn't know what was there. And I looked at the game, on the game itself, and I had to look at the box art, and I had to look at the back of the box to determine whether I enjoyed or wanted to buy this game or not. And it was just that element of surprise that I actually enjoyed. Now we know everything, and we've already pre-ordered it if we want it, usually.
Yeah, see, that's actually like quite a big motivation for what I do on the YouTube videos. It's part of because I got to a point where I don't pay attention to like any media about any movies or any games or anything anymore because I hate that thing of like, you watch a movie trailer and they give you the plot of the entire film. It's like, well, I want to watch it. So I thought, like, if you play games, it's nice, like going into games and it's like I'll buy something at random, or I'll like sometimes emulate stuff at complete random and think like, what's this about? I have no preconceptions. It's like it throws you back to an older time when you had to actually do that.
I can't remember what video it was, but I saw on YouTube some guys talking about when Star Wars, the very, very first one, came out, and they were just like, they saw the poster, and that was all that sold them on it, because they had no idea what this Space Wars movie was about. They had no idea. But they saw this guy with a freaking laser in his hand, and like, we got to go see this. And that's all they had to go off was the poster.
You know what I love about the kind of pre-internet days? It's the ability to beat someone on FIFA without 30 seconds later receiving an audio file telling me that they're going to do my mum. Like, the glory days. The glory days.
Sure, that was to do with the FIFA game and nothing else, or?
I mean, stop putting pictures of your mum online, mate. It's just...
Xbox Live is just an absolute kind of echo chamber of just idiots talking about, it's like, I mean, I think it's probably the generation that we come from, guys, to an extent. Obviously, like we were kind of, in terms of my real, when I mega got into gaming, it was kind of around. I mean, I loved it for the Mega Drive, but it was the Dreamcast where I was like, okay, I am mega into gaming now, and obviously it was all the online features of that. But then it's kind of gone so far the other way now. I don't know, like, I think it's, it is just different. It's, you can't really say to someone who's never grown up with the pre-internet days to say that that ours was better and theirs is worse. But
Objectively, it probably is better now. Really, when you think about it, like if we're being honest with ourselves, like the breadth of games out there. There's so many indie games coming out as well. But it's just that thing where you've got that, you go into something knowing what you're already expecting from it, which I think is crap, because like I got to a point, because I think the vast majority of modern like AAA games are just utter shit. They're just the same game with different skins on them. It's the same sort of like things over and over again.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I got so many time getting sold into games thinking they'd be brilliant from what I heard. I just got to a point where I can't be asked to listen to it. I just play it and see what it is for myself,
I think it's good. I think it's better and worse for different reasons. It depends what area you look at, I think. I do miss the just the mystery. I think that someone mentioned earlier, the mystery of going into a shop and you are actually just going by the front cover of the game. You don't know anything else about it. You might not. You haven't seen a review about it. The internet didn't exist, so you couldn't look up trailers or videos or anything. That I do miss, but I think I agree that overall it probably is better now. It's just that magic that I do miss.
I've got very clear. The clearest memory I've got of a pre-internet era game that was being heavily pushed at the time, but only in magazines. Final Fantasy VII. I was just for ages buying magazines and salivating over any screenshot I could find and trying to find out as much information about this humongous game. And the funny thing is, I'd actually never played a Final Fantasy game before that. It was just that I could see how much effort was going into this game that I thought, I've got to be a part of this. And now there's so many games that are being launched, and you've already watched most of the cutscenes in it. You've already watched most of the in-game footage, to the point where when you get it, it's no longer a surprise, and it's, I don't know, it just kind of sucks. And the other aspect is there's people out there that will watch a whole Let's Play on a game from start to end.
Yeah. You know what?
Why?
Yeah. I was talking to someone on Twitter about this the other day, because they said that there was a little bit annoyed about the teams site racing marketing so far because they haven't put enough game footage out there. And I was kind of like, well, I can't. Yeah, what? I quite like that, because
I like that.
I mean, it's going to be a racing game, guys. We know that already.
Yeah.
But I
was surprised with your life.
Yeah.
Well, look what's happening with the Spider-Man game. As soon as they release footage of the game, and then they actually show the finished product, everyone has a whinge about, oh, it looked different. Oh no, there was more puddles, and so they're kind of damned if they do, damned if they don't. I kind of wish they don't, to be honest. I'd rather they just release a 3-minute trailer. And what's that new Cyberpunk game that they released a 45-minute video, and the first 5 minutes of that video is just them saying, this is going to change. This is not the finished product. This could change. What you're looking at is it was like over and over again, bashing it in your head. This is not the final product, you dumb wombat. Just...
I don't like all these things. They're terrible. Oh.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, they get such a bad rap from showing things at E3 and then it not being what they expected, or it's graphically downgraded, so to speak.
Some of that is well deserved, yeah.
They make a run for their own backs to that stuff sometimes. They do just put bullshit into games that just doesn't make the cut, because they show it. I mean, that happens when you're doing game development anyway. Some things just don't work in the real world. But if in doubt, just shut up about it. Like, don't bother telling people to get hopes up. It's crazy.
Sony were the worst offenders for that. There's a video online that I watched the other night about how they were going over the old 2006 E3 announcements when the PlayStation 3 was first being shown, and they were trying to determine what footage were they showing was actual capable of the PlayStation 3 was capable of actually doing, and what was pre-rendered on some bigger computer. And they walked away from that thinking that 60 or 70% of what was shown at that E3 by Sony was fake. It was just not real.
I remember there was a big uproar about Watch Dogs when there were cans. There were cans in the road that were blowing the wind in the conference, but they were the final game. So people were really annoyed that the cans weren't there, so they decided to cancel their pre-orders because the cans were vital.
Do you know what? that's the whole thing with games now. The whole fixation on graphics, I think, is just poisonous. It's ridiculous. It's like
Toxic.
But the developers themselves are to blame, and it's not the developers themselves. They're not the guys creating it. It's the overlords within the company that are doing their best to push the absolute best product out. And I think the further away they get away from doing that, the better. Just show the game. No one's going to kill it and rip it apart if they just show the game as it is. We just want to know, is the game fun to play and does it look half decent? And if it happens to look really awesome, we'll find that out on the day.
Yeah, I think it is a bit disingenuous to show a game that isn't going to look like that on the final day. But I agree with what you're saying. Just show it how it's going to look. And with Watch Dogs, I think there's a mod that you can put something in the coding and you can actually unlock the graphics. They downgraded it just to have it equal across all platforms.
Cans.
Yeah, you can unlock cans. It's DLC.
See, I just say stop bothering with the cans. You know, like the idea that you've got to have cans that blow over. And oh my god, the cans blow over. But it's like, yeah, well, the effort they put into cans blowing over, they could have made the game actually good instead. The amount of effort, the way they're putting the effort seems to be in the wrong places. So they've doubled down.
Yeah, Ash, like, just stop me talking down Cangate, mate. You know, like, don't be talking down Cangate.
Yeah, but you got those cans.
Just put it out there. I'm more into cups than I am cans. All right.
But The Witcher 3 was another game that, when they initially showed the footage of that for the first time, and then they finished with the final product, people were ripping it apart when they showed the initial footage, and it ended up looking loads better than what that initial footage was. But there were still people at the time rubbishing it when they showed the early footage. So there's always going to be people out there that just want to rip a game demo apart and just... I don't know. I'm just tired of it. I just want to know what do you do in the game? What is your main goal in the game? And is it worth playing? I don't care about... obviously, I guess it also depends on the game. If you're buying a game like Forza Horizon 3 or just Forza game, you're obviously going to want that 4K experience. Those games are dedicated to that kind of experience. And if those games rip you off on the footage that they show, well, then they deserve all the flack they get. But when it comes to an open world game like the Witcher series or the new Spider-Man, I'm only interested in how big is the map? What can I do in it? Have they got the gameplay mechanics right? That's all I care about.
Yeah, and just to bring it back to the internet, I don't think we can go without talking about microtransactions and its effects on the gaming industry just briefly, because it to me it almost has ruined gaming for me. It hasn't ruined it, but it's just, I really don't like microtransactions in games. I'm very old school in that I've bought a game and that's it. I've paid my money, let me play the whole thing. And where they hold back things where they can reintroduce them later and sell them on, it really annoys me. And useless DLC as well, such as the infamous armour on a horse, which I think you talked about, Brian. Armour on a horse. Nipples in Saboteur, the game, there was a DLC where I think it's called Midnight Club or something, where there were dancers in the game and you could pay like £2 or something and you could actually reveal the nipples in the game.
I think that should be in every game. Put that in Forza, put nipples on the cars. every game needs nipples.
Put it to Sonic Mania.
I want to see Spider-Man's nipples. Spider-Man's nipples, that's
Just cut holes in the Spidey suit, that his nipples pop out.
Well, the thing is, we saw Mario's for free. They released it in a screenshot. And we realised...
Nintendo, the company that always keeps giving.
I would have paid £20 for that.
Nintendo, the game that gave us Mario's nipples. That should be their tagline.
They've done it.
But turning it around, like you said that DLCs turn you off modern gaming, there are times though I think where DLC works, and one of those examples is the Halo series. When the new map comes out, buying a new map was something that we were big into, and Forza Horizon 3, I've just started getting into that, and there's 2 DLCs for that. One where you can take it to the snowy mountains and play in Australia's snow area, and then they had the Hot Wheel tracks. That looks epic, but the problem with that is to buy it at 2, it's $50, so it's quite expensive DLC.
See, I think that there's a difference between something like that kind of expands the game, so you know, like almost like an expansion pack to an extent, you know, like where you're actually getting more level. Like that's totally cool. I'd pay for that. When it's just like a new suit on a character, I don't know what the point of that is, and I don't know who the people are that bother to spend that money. Like, what are you doing with your life where you've actually got enough time to be collecting bunny ears for your character? Just go away. What are you doing? I don't get it at all.
As long as you're not taking the piss though with DLC, I think it's fine. Like the best ones recently was Zelda. Like the DLC for that, it's 15 quid or something, and it was mind blowing. Like, there's so much. There's probably like another 50 hours worth of game in there, and loads of new stuff to do and whatever. And that's the way you should be doing DLC. And I don't mind stuff like that. You know, if you're getting some substantial for your money.
And it's nice. It was actually purely optional as well on the Zelda example. It wasn't something that you definitely had to buy to progress through the game or a certain area or whatever else.
See,
you just get by without it.
Yeah, you know, I know it's a fashionable thing to do, but like EA in general, like, you know, they are a company that I absolutely despise. I think that they are literally everything that is wrong with gaming in 2018.
That's what you really think, Maz.
Yeah, no, honestly,
So what you saying?
Honestly, like, I will never buy another EA game because they are so ridiculous with it. Yeah, even after the whole Star Wars Battlefront thing came out, one of their directors came out and said, actually, our plan is to try and put more microtransactions in games, you know, because that's basically our company's policy. So it's like, they're not even listening to the backlash. They're like, you know, like, we'll kind of placate you guys for a couple of weeks until everything dies down, and then something else happens on Twitter to keep everyone distracted, and I'm just going to shove it all back in your face again.
But have you noticed something with EA when they come out on E3 announcements and they get on stage and they do their spiel? Those spills are not for the gamers; they're for the shareholders. They do not care about the gamer backlash. They just honestly don't care, because everyone that's online ranting, you know, like keyboard warriors, they represent such a small percent of who's going to go out and eventually buy that game. The only time that there's been an exception to that rule was the Star Wars Battlefront. Sorry, that scenario that just took place recently. That was a time when gamers actually took the fight to EA and won, and that was only because there was another party of interest, Disney, that were sitting there with a big massive club over EA's head, ready to smack them if they didn't, you know, behave, because the shares went down. Even Disney's shares went down. That's like, what? No, we don't want that. So they made them change that.
I'm so happy with the backlash with Battlefront. I'm so glad that they were made to change it. I'm so glad that the consumer backlash really had an effect. So that's the only way that you can get back to them, is to damage them in their wallet. Otherwise, they won't listen. So people stop buying the game and really.
I love it when EA
things on Reddit. Sorry, Brian?
I love it when EA come out later and say, well, we've listened to the consumer feedback, and no, you didn't. You were told by Disney. You liars.
You know who I feel like sorry for, though, in that thing, and I think I actually did make a video on this at the time, but it's actually the developers who've worked on that game who are probably really, really proud of it, and kind of really, you know, like gone like, you know, like put years and years of work into it. And it's obviously a really, really nice looking game and stuff, and then EA come along and just slap crap all over it, just ruin the game for everyone. It's just kind of,
how can we cut this into nice little chunks?
Yeah.
The one DLC I think we should be mentioned is the Mortal Kombat Easy fatalities, which is just an absolute joke to me, which is you pay money to make the fatalities easier. So you don't have to enter these massive codes to do fatalities. You pay money, actual real money, to make them easy for yourself. Just to wrap up that question, then, was gaming better before or after the internet, or is it just simply different? I think it's simply different when you have things like, you know, MMORPGs. I think are absolutely fantastic, and that's obviously only possible because of the internet and things like that.
Yeah, I reckon it's different. But also, if they did put nipples in games, how many nipples do you reckon Sonic would have?
I don't know. How many nipples does a hedgehog have? I don't know the answer to that. I'm guessing 6.
I think at least 6, right?
For me, different, but I don't know. Internet is just the internet affecting video games. No, it's just a different challenge. But I think we are in such a good time with gaming now. You've got retro, you've got new, you've got so many more options available to you as a gamer. We are just so spoiled as gamers now, and that's why when I see people complaining about the things they do on internet, man, back when I first started playing video games, we used to put colour cellophane over the top. That was an upgrade over a black and white game. So No, I don't think we've really got too much to complain about. It's only when companies get greedy that's when I start getting on board and going, yeah, I think we've got something to be whinging about here.
Yeah, and it's we haven't spoke about this, but it's also an issue with day one patches and things like that. With publishers having to patch games afterwards, and I think they're really ripping consumers off from day one. Really, that's my opinion.
I think it's disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. Day one patching is horrible because, like, the whole thing is archiving games. So I'm really kind of against digital only games. I think it's the worst thing in the entire world, where games, Sorry.
The worst thing in the entire world.
Worst thing in the entire world. Absolutely the worst thing. There's nothing more important going on. But no, like it's pretty bad when you get a game that's fundamentally broken from day one. So if someone goes and buys that disc in 10 years' time on PS4, puts it into their PlayStation, all the servers are off, the game doesn't work. And I think that's just disgusting. It's messed up, And the whole idea of games are more complicated, QA's harder, that's fine. But like, release a game that works. And they don't care about. They care about immediate revenue, not the fact that someone might want to play this game in 5 years' time. It's not even a factor anymore. It's horrible.
I can understand if there's small glitches within the games. Like you said, the games are so much more bigger now. I mean, even with that Spider-Man game, as epic and as awesome as that game looks, there are bugs I've seen being posted up online where Spider-Man actually falls through the floor and he's just zip-lining away underneath New York City. He's like, what was the? I saw the post where it said, "Now I know what Doctor Strange sees." It's a pretty cool post. And I think it comes back to Shenmue. That release that should have been delayed. That should not have come out in the state that it was released.
There's audio as well.
Yeah, there was audio bugs in it. There was forklift problems. My forklift driving off into the sunset off the map. It should not have come out. I'm all for delaying games and till they get it right. Was it Shigeru Miyamoto said that a broken game is broken forever. If you delay the game though, then it's a fixed game. But other companies are laughing at him, going, "Oh, no, you can just patch it."
Yeah, I wonder whether purely because of the mental kind of, I mean, like, in a good way, but the community behind Shenmue and the absolute furore about we're finally getting these HD remakes. Can you? I mean, like, I'm not defending it because it shouldn't have come out in that state. But can you imagine the backlash if Sega would have gone, actually 2 more weeks, guys? It would have been like people would have just
they can suck it up. I'm so sick of people whinging about rubbish like that. If a game gets delayed a month or 2 months, I'll wait. Okay, then fine. It's 2 months. I remember at the time that you didn't know when a game was coming out; it just came out.
Yeah, like, people will whinge no matter what. I think you're screwed either way, and I'd probably go more on the side of releasing a game that actually works over getting out on time to meet a particular deadline. It's nuts. Just make sure the game works. It's pretty. And Shenmue's especially annoying because it's a straight port of a Dreamcast game. It's a copy-paste job and you fix some stuff in between. That's kind of the extent of the work to be done. So there's no excuses there because everything should be known. It's a known code base, It's just the fact they've rushed it as the only reason. There's no new code, there's nothing, Any bugs that are present in Shenmue will come over, but you're literally sort of almost copying and pasting to overly simplify it. There's no need for it at all.
That brings us nicely into the next question, I think, which is it acceptable to buy a physical game and a portion of that game at least has to be downloaded? And I have a specific game in mind when I bring this question up, which is obviously the Spyro Trilogy. There's been quite a big backlash that only the Spyro 1 game was originally planned to be on a disc. We don't know if they're going to... they have delayed the game. We're not sure if that's because they want to put all 3 games on one disc. I assume that's the reason. But is it acceptable to buy a physical game and at least partially it's downloadable? So what do you guys think about that?
No, I don't think it is at all. I mean, one example I do think of, the Bayonetta re-releases for the Switch. One was only a download only. Whereby, say if that hardware becomes defunct at a certain point, you might not be able to play it in the future, but at least with a physical copy, you are able to perhaps buy another Switch if you've lost your digital copy of it, and you can still physically play this physical copy of the game whenever you like. That's the whole point of buying any product, isn't it? It should last for the specified amount of time that It states, whenever I can, I always buy physical and not digital for that reason. Yeah. When you see what happened with the Wii and the Wii U, some of this hardware you might not be able to retrieve that data. You might lose the data. You may not have the luxury of the cloud to save to the cloud or whatever. In the future, you just don't know what's going to happen in terms of what technology is available. At least with all the lovely Mega Drive games that I do have behind me, I can play them whenever I like. Until that physical hardware deteriorates.
And those Atari games they dug up in the landfill, apparently most of them still worked.
Yeah.
So put in the landfill for like 30 years and you dug them up and they still worked. Try doing that with a disc. It just wouldn't work. So, retro.
Yeah, I've got a weird example actually, which is the Jack's. Is it Jack or Jack's Daxter series on PlayStation? I got the Vita Trilogy series, and which 1, 2, and 3. 1 works, 3 works, but 2 crashes. It's got a fatal crash in it, which you have to do some really weird workaround, which is just not worth your time. But the weird thing about it is that the physical copy crashes, but the digital one that you have to then go online and buy again works. So I don't understand what happened there when they pushed that out. So I think that's an example of back of what we were just talking about when they released a buggy program. But that company that released that, I think they've since closed down. I wonder why.
Yeah, there's another example quite recently as well. So I don't know if anyone saw the issues around WWE 2K18 on the Switch.
That was awesome.
Yeah, well, what they did basically, so they cheaped out on the cart. So I think the cart only had like 8 gig on it, and then you had to download something like 24 gig or something onto your Switch, which has only got a 32 gig card in it as standard anyway, unless you put more in. And it's stuff like that. It's like, no, sorry. Like, if I go out and buy a physical game, I should be able to just put it in my thing and just play it. Like, you shouldn't ask me to then take up more storage. That makes no sense. Otherwise, I could just download it anyway. The whole point,
for me, the whole point of buying a physical Switch game is that I don't want it to take up room on my Switch. I actually haven't bought an expansion SD card for that yet. I'm holding out. So at the moment, I mean, I have got Sonic Mania that I just bought. I got a review code for that, so I had to put that on, install it. But as soon as I got the physical one from Japan, I ripped it out. I uninstalled it. So I just want to keep as much room as possible on my Switch.
Well, for me, I literally didn't have enough room on my Switch to buy WWE 2K18, so I was going to get it, and then I found out about that, and then didn't buy it for that reason. And now they're actually announced that they're not going to make 2K19 for the Switch because not enough people bought it. It's like, yeah, because you did us all over.
I can think of many other reasons why you shouldn't buy that game.
Oh yeah, that as well.
But one of the worst ones with that whole download thing was THQ at the time, I think, or Activision or whatever, with Tony Hawk's 5. Do you know, well, no one bought it because it was crap, but it was not only a crap game, so they had to basically, like, the license was running out on Tony Hawk's unless they released a game to renew it. So they rushed out a real piece of shit of a game. But also in their hurry, because the thing didn't work, but they had like a deadline to hit. So they released a physical copy of this game, and literally on the disc is like a few hundred meg. But the entire game has to be downloaded. There's basically nothing on the disc apart from like a menu to download the rest of the game. And and the game's completely broken. The thing is, since then, this gets like, 2-3 years ago or something? I don't even know. But since then, the servers have been turned off. So if you buy Tony Hawk's 5, if you're a masochist, it won't work at all. The game just doesn't work anymore. It's just like, it'd be worse if it's a coaster.
It's a coaster.
It is a coaster.
I saw in game the other day, you can actually buy a piece of card that is actually the digital code. A shop. You can buy a code in a shop. And you can just buy it on the Switch shop. Done. Physically going to the counter.
Look about
I'd like to waste some petrol, please.
Yeah.
You know what though? It sounds stupid, but I would actually do that because I'm an elite member at games, so then I'd actually get points to spend on games that I'm going to download anyway. So yeah.
Is that worth the petrol to drive there and the embarrassment?
I mean, I don't drive and game's 10 minutes away, so yeah.
Do you get to keep the bit of paper afterwards? That's the important thing.
Yeah, they got to put it back on the shelf.
My paper.
Game at Telford in the UK came out and said that he had a guy come in and do that, and he felt sorry for the guy, so he gave him the display case.
Not on his shelf.
It's bizarre.
Do we have any Spyro fans here at all? I didn't really play. I played the demo when I was younger and I really enjoyed it, but I'll probably buy the trilogy if they put it all on the same disc, which is the question we're talking about. If they don't, I'll probably not buy it because I'm not that bothered about Spyro, and just out of protest, I just won't buy it. So, do we have any Spyro fans here? Do we have any thoughts on the Spyro trilogy at all?
My mum really liked it. She thought it was ace. I thought it was a bit of pants.
Yeah, I mean, I completed the first one. I really enjoyed the first one. I've never played any since. But again, you know, I'd probably be quite keen on the trilogy if it's all on one disc, I don't have to download anything.
I've never played it.
Same here. I've never touched it. Never played the franchise.
It's got a purple dragon in it, and he goes and picks up gems and dragons in boxes, and they get out of the box.
Spoiler!
I'm sold.
Sorry, spoilers. Sorry.
But is there nipples? Is there any
There's
nipples?
no nipples in it either. There's no nipples in it. So time travelers that are going back to 1997. I'm sorry, I just ruined the plot for you of Spyro.
Okay.
I only want the nipples.
Yeah, hopefully you'll see. I'm sure there will be.
Right, sorry, stop. Right, can somebody please just turn that into a GIF of Brian? Like,
I'm sure we're on the internet, so I'm sure somebody will. And I'm asking people, if you see that, make that into a GIF and send it to me.
yeah, please.
Twitter, please.
You say GIF? Oh, gross.
GIF.
I'm not sure we can be friends. We say GIF.
Hello.
I say GIF.
Oh no.
Oh, well, you say Sega as well, so.
But I was going to say I say Sega, and we say.
And you're upside down, so.
Yeah.
It's all explained.
And the game tells you it's Sega, so. Ooh, a touchy subject there.
Very.
Kid.
But yeah, to wrap that up, I think people that buy physical just simply want physical, and it seems to me like a slow transition into making people buy digital, which I think will eventually be the case, because today's kids. I know, boo. I agree, boo. I love having a physical collection. Like there in Brian's background there, you see how beautiful that looks there with all these games in the background. Imagine if that was only digital, we'd just have an empty room. It doesn't have the same effect. It just doesn't have the same effect. So I love having a physical collection, and I'll always buy games physical if I can.
I can figure one benefit. If we didn't have physical, I'd have more room to dance in this for your videos there.
I'd like to see that. About me coming on to Brian, but we're going with it.
Okay, so
moving right along.
Yeah, moving right along. Yeah. The final question, and I think it's quite a nice one to end with, is simply, what is the worst game you've ever played?
I'm going to kick off with the most obvious one that it sounds cliche, but I've never thrown any other game in violent rage than what I did with E.T. on Atari 2600. That actually did happen, and that was way before memes or internet was a thing. It was 1985 or 6 or thereabouts. I was at a mate's place and he's got a stack of Atari games and we're going through them, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. You're expecting that. But I saw Atari and it was still in its box. I'm like, oh, this looks good. It was one of those silver packaging ones. They're usually the better games. So I put that in. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea. I'm falling in pits. I'm levitating out of pits. I'm falling in another pit. It was pit falling simulator. It was just such a crap piece of rubbish game. And so I took it out, didn't even bother switching off the machine, and I flung it against the wall. This was in my mate's house. This is his Atari. And he's just like, what the hell are you doing? I said, mate, I'm doing you a favour. That game's an absolute piece of crap. And it's just funny, years later, I just see it become a meme. And I didn't know anything about the Atari crash or the video game crash. We were all oblivious to that in Australia at that time. None of that news was coming across to us. So it was just like, it all makes sense. Yes, they buried them all. Now I know why.
Well, I swear me and you are pretty similar, Sorax, because we both have a tendency to specifically play games that are shite. But the worst game I've probably ever played, I can't remember which one it is, one of the James Pond games. which was so bad I couldn't even make sense of what was going on. And
The music was good.
yeah, great, but like none of it made it. I couldn't make any sense of it, and maybe that's my stupid brain. But I just couldn't do it, and it really hurt my mind to play it. I couldn't even make sense of what was happening. So I did a video on it, and it's just me making noises for 3 minutes because I couldn't really think of any words either.
Actually, that was the first video I think I saw on your channel ever.
It's one of the worst ones. It's one of my worst videos. What's going on?
Right. I think that's all you kept saying. Okay.
Pretty much.
Right.
I actually did legitimately have a headache playing it. I couldn't, and I had to go have a little sit. I'm not exaggerating. I had to go and sit down after playing it. It boggled my little mind.
So mine is, I'm not sure that anyone's actually playing this on the Dreamcast, but it is Spirit of Speed 1937. Has anyone played that game?
I've heard of it. I know of it. I haven't played it.
Yeah, it's
I know of it. Yeah.
So the story behind it, so LJN at the time was basically going under, and there was already like halfway through developing that game, so like all the cars and everything had been designed, the tracks had been designed, but the actual gameplay hadn't. So they laid off their entire development team in Japan and outsourced it to China. Well, I can only imagine that. I can only imagine that people who had maybe heard of coding or heard of gameplay had a go at trying to finish the game and then released it. And it's the only racing game I've ever played in my life where they didn't think that steering, was really needed as part of the game. Steering, controls, the ability to turn left or right at all.
It'll be right when the patch comes out.
Well, yeah,
We're still waiting.
Yeah, we'll patch in a gearbox and a steering wheel. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Honestly, day one patch needed, but it is honestly the weirdest thing in the world. So, everything takes about 5 minutes to load onto a level, and you kind of sit there and think, oh, well, the cars look kind of okay, at least and then you just smash straight into the first corner, and then you just kind of, it's the worst game in the world. And
Yeah.
I played Rise of the Robots, so...
Oh yeah, Rise of the Robots is bad. But no, I think, that is terrible. Like, literally, you get off, you go into a straight line, hit a corner, and you just keep bouncing off the corner until eventually you get over the line, maybe.
Yeah.
Or you might not, or it might crash. It's just the worst racing game I've probably ever played.
Yeah, you literally have to just hit the first corner and just scrape along the wall for about 5 minutes until you eventually get forward, and then just plow into the next corner and just slowly scrape again. It's like the fact that anyone played that in the dev team were like, yeah, that's totally good, that's fine. Yeah.
That Rise of the Robot.
Yeah.
Is that a prequel to Rise of the Tomb Raider or?
Unrelated.
Just checking.
Ben, worst game you've ever played?
A couple spring to mind, so I'm going to have to just choose one, to be honest. Because I've been playing Pokemon recently, it was Pokemon Channel for the GameCube. The reason why I played this...
Is that a game? Are we allowed to class that as a game, Pokemon Channel?
Well, exactly. I'll get into the reasons why I completed this game, quote unquote.
Because he loves it.
It was the only way at the time I could obtain the Pokemon Jirachi. Yeah, there he is, got it. And
Hang on, Brian, keep it up there. There we go, Pokemon Channel.
and I sat. I completed this game, and so I could transfer Jirachi onto the Game Boy Advance game I had at the time, whichever Pokemon game it was, can't remember. But the only thing you need to do, you literally just have to watch Pokemon programs. That's the game. There's no gameplay. You just have to sit there and watch things, and then you've done it, and you've got your Jirachi, and you can transfer it to your Sapphire or Ruby, whatever it was at the time. It's not even a game. I just don't even know why it exists.
What's a control menu?
Oh, it's so clear. Actually, Spice World is pretty goddamn bad. That game was ridiculous. It was like you do nothing. They got an entire section of just videos of them doing performances and talking to Nelson Mandela and stuff. It's really, it's intentionally unpleasant. I think they're doing it on purpose to punish young children for something. I don't know. Some weird conspiracy theory, I think, just to make you feel worse about yourself.
For me, a couple of honourable mentions before I get onto the one that I think is the worst game I've ever played. Batman Forever on the Mega Drive is absolutely awful.
Bollocks.
Bollocks, as Brian says. I didn't want to swear, but bollocks. It really is bollocks. It is digitized sprites like in Mortal Kombat, except it isn't nowhere near as fun as Mortal Kombat. You can't work out what you're doing. I had it as a kid, and I was stuck on like the very first level where you need to sort of zip line up to the second floor, and you need to press something ridiculous like C on the Mega Drive controller. This is C, B, and left, something like that to zip line up, and I couldn't work that out as a kid. So it was just absolutely awful. It was just such an awful game. Also, Sonic 06, I just have to mention because it was called Sonic the Hedgehog, which is an absolute insult to my childhood, and it nearly killed me inside.
I had one of them, yeah.
Yeah, it nearly killed me inside. I hate it. I hate when people name things like that. Like I think the Predator films, there was Predator and Predators and Predator 2.
No, it's the Predator now.
The Predator, yeah. And I think there was a Angry Video game that did a thing about confused about game names of the Zelda franchise as well. It's just I hate things when they. There is already a game called Sonic the Hedgehog, and it was near enough perfect. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was perfect, but Sonic the Hedgehog on Mega Drive, that was called Sonic the Hedgehog, and that should be the only game called Sonic the Hedgehog. You shouldn't release another game with the same name.
It's stupid.
You can call it anything else, just anything. Just add something to the end of it, just not Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic and the Den of Vipers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, surely Glitchamania, like Glitchamania 06.
I was just going to say exactly Glitchmania.
Sonic and his human girlfriend for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is all specific to annoy Mark, but I think one of the worst games to me to come out in the last sort of 3 or 4 years is Sonic Forces. I found the game's bloody terrible. Absolutely abysmally awful.
I'll be honest, I liked all the modern Sonic stuff, and I liked the creative character bit, but like classic Sonic didn't need to be there. And you could kind of tell that it was lip service as well, because the levels were so, I don't know, it was just like, it just didn't feel like it needed to be there. I thought it was weird.
There's like 3 of them as well. There's only like 3 levels, and they're all shit.
Yeah, weird, yeah, I didn't get that bit. But I mean, I like Forces.
I love the intro theme song. The music and
I love the music in that.
Yeah.
And even 06 has decent soundtracks.
It does, yeah.
Only saving grace for it, yeah.
Has anyone
It's just
seen?
the game stuff.
Has anyone seen the trailer for Team Sonic Racing?
No.
No, right. Watch it because it's got Crush 40 doing the kind of theme tune, and I've had it in my head all week. It's only like a minute and a half or something, but the actual tune behind it, it's so like Dreamcast Sonic sound kind of like that era. It sounds really good.
I'm just going to put it out there. Sonic, traditionally, the series as a whole, has got better music than Mario. I'm saying it.
Oh,
of course.
Yeah, generally it does. Yeah, the main theme's better in Mario though. I'd argue that the Mario all the games are better. Across the board.
I mean, you'd argue it, but you'd be wrong, so it's fine.
I mean, Mario just sort of has that one theme, doesn't he? Which is absolutely fantastic. It will go down in game history forever. But Sonic, to me, listen to Sonic 2. Just the whole soundtrack, Chemical Plant Zone, yeah, Emerald Hill Zone, I thought was good. Just and Sonic 1 as well, obviously Green Hill Zone. Just it has more to it, definitely. But in terms of my worst game that I've ever played, Bubsy 3D on the PlayStation 1. And I don't know. Yeah.
I actually bought this the other day for £2.
You were ripped off, mate.
Well, yeah, I bought it purely to match everyone say how bad it was. So I'm just going to try it and see.
I've been trying to buy it I've not been able to find a copy of it. I've been trying to buy it for absolutely ages because it sounds right up my alley. Like, I love terrible games. Well, I hate terrible games, but it sounds like exactly the right thing for me to play.
No one's mentioned Superman before.
Yeah, I've not played it, but it's just basically fly through the rings, isn't it? It's just awful.
Well, yeah, if you
That's
can.
awesome.
Yeah, if you can, yeah.
They mailed that in, didn't they? They really phoned that in.
It's supposed to be as bad as it looks then.
The quote here said, "This game just ruined my whole life." That's the quote.
But other than that, it's good.
Yeah, it's probably not very good then.
But other than that, it's all right.
I'd say the worst game ever is about 75% of the N64's library.
Oh, he said it. He's only gone to
said
say
it.
it, hasn't he?
I know, right?
I'm gonna back you up there. High five, high five.
Brian, do you just want to show your N64 collection for us?
Oh, no, I actually do have.
Oh, you've got one now.
Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, let's ruin that joke then. Sorry.
My NES collection. There we go.
There we go. But Bubsy 3D to me is just open space. They wanted to make a 3D game. And they thought it'd be brilliant just because it's 3D, and it's new. And things like Crash Bandicoot were out before this. So, and I think they copied Super Mario 64. I mean, I say copied. It obviously looks awful in comparison, but that's the
Did a really bad job on that.
yeah, that's the sort of thing they were going for. It's just open space. It's just platforms that they don't even make an excuse for. So it's just like a cuboid there, just in the air. You have to jump on to collect coins, and the only objective I think is to get to the end of the level. And if that wasn't bad enough, the controls are absolutely awful. It's like controlling a tank. It feels so heavy, and the camera is awful. And I've never played a game that has tortured me so much to get through it. I mean, I think waterboarding would be more pleasant than playing this game. Honestly, the government should use Bubsy 3D.
You banned on the Geneva Convention. No white phosphorus, no Bubsy 3D. Stop it.
Yeah, I think it should be put in the bill, definitely.
Absolutely.
You maniac.
So yeah, we had a couple of Twitter questions just to finish off. Firstly, we had this question from Winstolf. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. He asks, in the opinion of the Ministry, what is the best racing game in the wonderful world of retro? Or even what are your personal favourites? So any favourite retro gaming racing games that you have?
Straight up Road Rash. It's not strictly racing because, you know, you've got a chain in your hand or a club. Maybe that's why I enjoy it. No, I just, so many hours spent on that. And there was a Master System version of that which actually holds up really well. That's insane. Super Nintendo couldn't do it.
Yeah, I love Micro Machines. It's one of the best of the retro racing games. They're amazing, and they continue to get better and better and better as they sort of went along. And then they had, I remember Micro Machines, which I can't remember what was, like the sort of second to last one on Mega Drive, where you can make your own Championship, yeah, amazing. It was so good.
The cartridge was a 4-player adapter cartridge in itself. That
was genius.
The J cart, they called it.
Yeah,
genius.
That was going to be my one, Micro Machines 2. It was a turbo tournament.
Yeah,
I got it.
It's got the actual. There's some little invitation slips inside.
You got them as well. Yeah, I got
where you could give them to your mates and invite them around your house. This is again harking back to earlier, before the internet. You actually
got the prizes. Have you got the prizes? The awards? There was invites and there's awards as well.
Got the invites there.
Yep, there they are.
Congratulations on the little certificate.
I remember those.
That's so cool. Insane.
Yeah, and Micro Machines 2. Yeah, I love it. I'd never used them. I thought, I'm just going to keep those. Just going to keep them. That's my original copy from the early 90s.
Oh, you bought that new?
Yeah.
And that's
1994. Yeah. I got that for Christmas one year. So.
And you never invited anyone.
I did. I just didn't use the sticks.
But no one cared.
Yeah. So, Violet Berlin is actually in the game from Bad Influence. She's actually a playable character.
Oh, nice. Sorry, hang on. Who? She was a TV star.
Yeah. She's the playable character in this game.
See, when I was playing that, I didn't know who that was.
Yeah,
no idea. Who's this book?
Yeah, so for me, like I'm not big into racing games. Like I like kart races and like things like that, but I'm not really big into like classic racing games. So like in terms of classic ones, it'd definitely be Gran Turismo for me, just because like the first one was one I actually played a lot of, which is weird because I don't really like them kind of games. But in terms of kart races, so any Mario Kart is awesome. It's not really mega retro, but Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing Transform was a great game.
Yeah.
And also on the Dreamcast, one that only I really like. I've played it with all my mates, and they're all like, "This is rubbish. Why are you always pushing this?" But Looney Tunes Space Race. I'm not
Space Race.
Yeah, it's so good. Like basically, I'm always Wile E. Coyote. Like when someone drops something on his head, he just holds up something saying "drat" or "oops" or I just love it. Yeah, it's just the humour behind it. It's cool.
Yeah, I used to actually thinking of that. I used to like Wacky Races as well. I used to watch the cartoon and had it on PlayStation 1. It's just an afterthought there. I didn't think of that before, but just as you mentioned that, it reminded me of Wacky Races. For me, you've already nicked my idea, which is Micro Machines, but I had the original, not Micro Machines 2. I had the original Micro Machines. So that's one of my favourite retro racing games, definitely. Just so fun.
Played a PlayStation version?
I have, yeah. Was it called V2 or something like that?
V3, yeah.
V3.
It was really good. I actually really enjoyed it, but the last one that they've just released recently, it's online only. Yeah, great decision, guys. Yeah, because that's why we enjoyed the original ones, for all those online memories.
So, yeah, there's one game which is like got a little special place in my heart, which is Lotus Turbo Challenge on Mega Drive. It's not actually an amazing racing game. I really enjoy it, but it's a really sort of bog standard thingy. But the story goes with it, where my sister-in-law at the time came over for a day to visit, and she's got like a young baby at this point. So this is like in the 90s and it's still new. She came over to visit my mum for a day, and I was like, "Oh, Michelle, have a go on this game with me." I was like, "Oh, this is brilliant," and then really got into it, and then stayed at my house for 2 weeks until she completed it. And she spent all day just playing Lotus Turbo Challenge. It was amazing. Yeah, don't know why.
And also, just one last mention, I used to like the Crash Team Racing on the PlayStation 1. I never used to actually have it. I used to go around my mates and play it. Obviously, I think Mario Kart is a superior game, but that's the one I played, Crash Team Racing. It was a good game. It was a good game. And also the Burnout series I liked as well. But I'm not a massive fan of racing games. Sorry, Maz?
I'm not sure if Burnout's...
Oh,
do you call Burnout Retro, though? I think it's...
It was sort of... It started on... Well, there are some games on PS2. Do we call PS2 retro now?
I personally don't. Some people do. It is, yeah.
I mean, it makes me feel really old, but probably PS2 is probably retro now.
Yeah, maybe it's more me, just more like an old person.
I think that's the edge, like the PS2, Xbox era. Then after that, we're not talking retro anymore. That's probably my.
I kind of say like the point where graphics started being acceptable. So I'd probably say PS2's the other side. I'd say PS1 maybe. So that was 3D but crap, and most games, like a lot of PS1 games, you look at them and they're kind of unplayable. Apart from the more good-looking ones, you're like, oh, I can't even make sense of what's on the screen anymore. But PS2, they're always good enough to know what's happening, and like they hold up visually and hold up gameplay-wise.
PlayStation 2, not so much. Dreamcast, yes. Which came out prior and looks better, in my opinion. I can't play Final Fantasy 11 on... Is it 11? No, 12, sorry. 12 on the PlayStation 2. I can't play it. I bought the re-release version because I couldn't make out what was going on because they use that blur effect. It's already blurred, man. You don't have to add any more blur. We're done with blur.
Well, that's the thing with Shenmue though, like popping it in for the first time in like sort of 15 years or whatever. And obviously I had it on the Dreamcast when it first came out, and then I plonked it in, and it still looks absolutely fine. Like it's aged a little bit, but the game still looks perfectly good. It's still kind of it's kind of still impressive in a way, isn't it? Like, and I turn off all of the modern. I'm weird. I put it back into 4:3, and I turn off all the modern effects, and I turn off the high resolution, so I play it like as nature intended. And I think it looks great still. I know, right? Massive kids.
One other argument for saying PS2 is now retro, they've stopped support for it, haven't they? So.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, I was shocked that it was still getting support. I assumed it was dead wild.
So did I.
Well, the NES was still getting supported up until about 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
The original, yeah. That's nuts.
Yeah, so we have one final question from Twitter, just to wrap things up, and it's for Synth Spacies and myself, Sorax Space. It's from Vrain on Twitter, and he asks, why space? I'm guessing because you both like space shooters, correct me if I'm wrong. Well, you are wrong, Vrain, but I'll let Brian tell you why you're wrong first.
Well, mine's pretty straightforward. I've been playing video games since Spacies, which is Australian slang for Space Invaders, so that's as complicated as that response gets. I just saw it on a forum. Some guy was an Australian, obviously, was going on about, oh well, my mum's been playing games for a long time, she's been playing since Spacies, and I saw that and I just thinking, yeah, I've been playing that long too, and the only reason why I held on to that little phrase was because when Xbox 360 came out, you could put a motto in. It had to be only 12 characters, I think, or less, or something ridiculously small like that. And I was trying to work out what to put in there, and I just put ... since Spacies, and it's just stuck ever since.
Okay, and for me, Vrain, to answer your question, thanks very much as well. You're a patron on Patreon, so I really appreciate that. first of all, I need to explain why I'm called Sorax to explain why Sorax Spaces exists. So I had to come up in school with a PlayStation 3 name because you went online and you had to come up with like a name. And I bought Kingdom Hearts 2, I think, at the time when I was in school. And I thought I had to think of a name. I just picked up something at random, and it was Kingdom Hearts 2. And on the back it was like Sora and Roxas go on this adventure, blah blah blah. And then it was like a combination of the two names I just put together, just because I had to think of a name. So I looked at it and thought Sora, Roxas, Sorax, that sort of goes.
It's got nothing to do with sore ass.
Nothing to do with a sore ass. My ass is perfectly fine. Thank you very much. And you're not. I've had that all throughout school, Brian. And you've now, you've brought back some emotional scarring there. So thanks very much.
You're the one that brought it up in your videos.
I didn't bring up Sorax, did I? I didn't bring up Sorax. A lot of people have said Snorlax as well. The Pokemon Snorlax. They assume there's a connection there.
Your voice was making fun of you. Group one Sorax.
Oh, that's true. That is true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that. So that's why. But because I was embarrassed about this combination that didn't really work for Sorax, I lied. And I realised that the initials for Streets of Rage are SOR, Sor, and I was always Axel as a kid, Axe. So when people ask me why I was called Sorax, I said it's SOR, Sor, and Axe for Axel, Sorax. So the real answer is Kingdom Hearts, Sora, and Roxas. The lie, which I'll now go by, is Streets of Rage and Axel, Sorax. Now, to answer Space, that's because years and years ago, like 12 years ago maybe, I did video game reviews. I did a couple. And the channel was called Backspace Reviews, and the tagline was A Key to the Past, which is very clever because Backspace, you go back, and I reviewed retro games, so very, very clever.
I would have guessed it was something to do with having a MySpace account, but
oh, let's not go into MySpace. So, yeah, back in the days of MySpace and MSN Messenger. Oh.
Or Geometry, what was it called? No, Geo Worlds? Was that one place you used to go to? Angel Fire? That you used to host your own. I'm going back before your time. That's
you are, yeah, I've never heard of that. But basically, yeah.
I remember that.
But yeah, so basically Backspace and I was called Sorax, so when I came back like 12 years later to do my own reviews, when I just decided to start up again, I just combined the two, Backspace and Sorax, I just made it Sorax Space. So that explains the space, no spaceships involved there. So that answers that question.
I've got a question for you then.
Yeah?
Do you wear the purple tie shirt all the time? So I like to think that you do. I mean, don't say anything otherwise.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if I had, mate, like, you literally wear that to pajamas.
Yeah, I don't even own two white shirts. This is the only shirt I own. And I own two ties, one's blue and one's purple. So this is just what I have to work with. Now the story behind that was, when I first did Backspace reviews like 12 years ago, me and my mate was really into the Angry Video Game Nerd. He actually introduced me into the Angry Video Game Nerd. And obviously he's famous for wearing a white shirt. So we thought we would also wear white shirts, but we thought we need to differentiate ourselves between each other. So he decided he would wear a red tie and I would wear a blue tie, just to differentiate ourselves. So originally I wore a blue tie, and in the early Sorax Space videos, I do actually wear a blue tie and not a purple tie. So when I came to doing those reviews, it was just an automatic thing. I thought, I'm doing a review, so I just put the shirt on, put the tie on, and we go. It didn't even enter my mind that I could wear something else. So that's how that came about, and I thought, why am I wearing blue when like the sort of branding of my channel is all purple? So I just decided to get a purple tie and then wear purple instead. So yeah, that's why I wear a shirt and purple tie.
Nice.
Okay, so that's my life story. Sorry to bore with that. Just to wrap things up, what is coming up on your channel coming soon, and where can we find you on social media? So first, Maz Gaming, what have you got coming up?
Yeah. So I think the one that I've been sitting on for a little while, but it's finally kind of been recorded. I'm just in the middle of editing now. Is basically showing off the ultra rare Sega item that I managed to pick up quite recently. So that should be up hopefully in the next week, and that's something very, very cool that I've wanted in my collection forever. So I'm really, really keen to show everyone off that. And the channel is Maz Gaming UK, and we're on Twitter at Maz Gaming UK as well.
Okay, and I'll leave the links to all of their YouTube channels as well in the description. Brian, what have you got coming up?
Well, today I actually was down at Cronulla Beach filming a video game video. on a beach. No, it was my life since Spacies, gaming since Spacies, I should say. And I was looking at 1980, so I'm in the middle of editing that. Also, I've got a couple of videos where I challenge a couple of people who come in to play against me. That will be edited soon. And I'm busy trying to keep up. My channel just got featured on DJ Slope's channel, and my subs are just exploding right now as I speak. That's why I'm glancing over, watching my sub count go boom, boom, boom. So I'm trying to keep up with that too. So it's all pretty much happening, and that's ... in Spaces. Make sure you don't forget those dots.
Okay, and Ben from Grumpy Retro Gamers, what have you got coming up?
Well, Chris and I have got some more music on the way. Hopefully more of a collaboration type video like before. I think Sorax said there's a link down below to watch that.
There might be, I might change my mind.
Yeah, you might just take it up. And in terms of other gaming videos, we're going to look at some more obscure titles from the Mega CD catalogue, which we've explored before. Done a few videos, a couple of Let's Plays, I think.
Oh, please do Night Trap. Please do Night Trap.
Well, Brian, don't worry, it's on the list. And I think some more comedy Pokemon Go haters be like, or whatever it was that we released a year or so ago. So yeah, some more comedy as well, related to retro gaming on the way. In terms of our links, it's just Grumpy Retro Gamers on YouTube, and then the Twitter handle is @GrumpyRetros. Which notifications are going off all day and night for that. Just doesn't stop. So if you want to have a look at us there. Sorry,
that's usually my fault.
That's fine. Just yeah, a lot of activity there. So yeah, if you want to have a look at us on Twitter as well, it's a lot of fun on our feed. So.
Okay, and I'll leave the link down below if I feel like it. Okay, Ash.
Hi. Well, yeah, I've got I've got a ton of scripts for like game console reviews. I've not bothered recording. Well, I've done them a few times, but not really finished any. So I should probably finish some of those. I've always got like a stock of lots more crappy, obscure games that I can sort of pull into the bag if I haven't got any ideas, which is most of the time. But yeah, I've got a few console reviews I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to do one on the Amiga. But my Amiga's broken, so I need to finish that. One on the N64, but I'm finding it so horrible that I don't really want to do it. One on the Dreamcast and some other stuff as well. And I'll probably get around to it at some point when I can bother. But I distract myself with other stuff.
Okay, so your YouTube is 891, isn't it? And your Twitter is 8 spelled A-T-E, isn't it?
Yeah, so, yeah, like 8 is in you 8 something, 9, and then you 1. Then you win at some. I don't know. I had to spell it. I didn't have the original. I thought it'd be better. But yeah, that's how you spell it. Probably. I don't know. Yeah, that's me.
Okay, and lastly, as for me, I've got some more of the same video game reviews coming up. Comedy video game reviews. I'm doing a collaboration with a YouTuber outside the ministry as well for a joint review. I've got pickup bids coming up soon for some retro games I've picked up. And I may do some more app trap videos, but at the moment I'm concentrated on retro gaming videos. So yeah.
I reckon me and you should do a collab as well, Sorax. We both live in the same city and do a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely should. And we're both wearing ties now, so it's set in stone.
Well, exactly. I'm keeping this tie forever now, so it's like, I don't think it can come off.
Well, that's my problem.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just put a plug in for one of your videos? Everyone should check out his app trap video on the pregnancy test video. That's just classic. Especially the reader reviews or the review comments. That's the best part. So yeah, everyone who hasn't checked out Sorax Spaces videos, well, you probably are new to the channel. Go back and have a look at that. That's like classic Sorax.
Well, yeah, thanks very much. Obviously, the focus is on retro games, but I love comedy in general. I love joking around and making funny videos. So there are so many bad apps out there for your phone. One including the pregnancy test that tells you if you're pregnant or not. It really works, trust me. So yeah, check those out as well. Okay, so I think that about wraps up the podcast. I'd like to thank all of the ministers for joining me today. It's been great. I thank them for taking me on board. And we're going to have a lot more Ministry of Retro Gaming videos coming up soon, I hope. And if you subscribe to all of the ministers, I'll leave the links down below. Maybe not Ben's, but the rest of you. I'll leave them down below. So subscribe to all of them, because we're going to hopefully do this podcast on a more frequent basis in the future. So subscribe to all of them so you don't miss out. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. I've been Sorax, we've been the Ministry. Watch these spaces, I suppose. That's how I always end my videos, so watch these spaces. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Later.
I only want the nipples.